for me, if it's a bunch sprint, it's Caden Groves. Now that Van Aert is not there anymore, he was able to beat Van Aert twice already. He's the fastest guy. Has still good legs. The other day, he made it over that Cat 1 climb and managed to win the stage. So I'm going to pick him as my first favorite to win the stage.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on Outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on Outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold Outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We are predicting stage 17 of the Vuelta a España. We're going to get Johan's take on who's going to win and how it's going to play out in 1 minute. But first, Johan, I want to pick your brain on stage 16, which finished not just recently, but finished earlier today. Marc Soler wins. Where our cold streak continues. We did not see this coming. We had Max Poole, Jay Vine picked. They finished third and fourth. I thought they were going to win on this super hard climb. Marc Soler looked terrible. At times looked like he was going to be dropped, and then wins the race, wins the stage. It was unbelievable. Back in the GC group, Primož Roglič looked to be on the ropes, but no time difference between him and Enric Mas, Richard Carapaz, and Roglič finished on the same time. And then we were just discussing how close these time gaps were. Mateusz Skelmoza finishes just a few seconds back with David Gaudu. Carlos Rodriguez is a few seconds behind him with Mikel Landa. And then Sepp Kuss, we haven't seen him for weeks, it feels like. And he's right there, right behind the lead guys. So it's not big margins. Ben O'Connor dropped again, holds on. I mean, it's almost getting comical at this point. Like, how long can this guy hold on to the jersey while getting dropped every summit finish? He's still in the lead by 5 seconds over Primož Roglič, 125 over Enric Mas, 146 over Richard Carapaz. You got to say, though, long view here, they could not have gone better for Primož Roglič because he avoids the jersey. Decathlon now has the jersey for at least another stage. They're going to control the race for him, and he doesn't even need to take any more time on Ben O'Connor because he could just go into the final time trial like this and win the stage. But help us understand the Marc Soler win. Where did this come from? Where did we go wrong on this? How did we not pick him?
Yeah, I mean, another thing we forgot to mention, Spencer, is the unfortunate crash of Wout van Aert. Obviously, big bummer for him for the race, for the classification of the points jersey. He was in amazing shape once again, part of the breakaway. That showed that he was also going for the KOM jersey. He did beat Jay Vine on 2 of the climbs already.
Yeah, he was leading the KOM classification by more than 10 points.
Yeah, and then so unfortunately, this downhill, there was nothing he could do. This guy from Jayco went down and Wout crashed. We don't really know the extent of the injuries, but the fact he had to abandon is obviously not good news. We wish him well. He's definitely very unlucky. In this season, he comes back from this terrible crash in the spring, got back to a certain level in the Tour. After the Tour was riding amazing, and this looked like he was going to do an amazing end of the season. But we'll see now. Anyway, the race goes on. Lagos de Covadonga is typically a very hard climb. It showed to be the case. Breakaway, we knew at the bottom of the climb that the breakaway would produce the winner of the stage. I also did not expect Marc Soler to win the stage, to be honest. I saw a strong Jay Vine, even stronger and more calculated Max Poole. I thought the victory was going to be between those two, our two choices from yesterday, right, from the breakaway. But then, Marc Soler just kept coming back, was dropped first and then came back and got dropped again and then finally attacked. Listen, Marc Soler is a big engine. We all know that, right? I mean, he has won already some serious races. I think this is his third stage win in the Vuelta, or even maybe the fourth. I don't remember. He won Paris-Nice as a young rider. When he came to the pros, initially he was seen as a big future champion. Had won the Tour de l'Avenir, but obviously, he's changed his ambitions and his objectives a bit. But today's stage was classic Marc Soler. We think he's dead. He dies 3-4 times and he resurrects and comes out of nowhere and then finally attacks. That was a great win for him because Lagos de Covadonga is a hard climb. It hurts. Even at the end, okay, there's obviously too little downhills there, but you need to get to those lakes first. And yeah, I mean, we didn't see that coming. Obviously, I thought that during the stage, even Spencer, I don't know if you saw the same, that Marc Soler was actually working for
yes,
Jay
he's working for Jay Vine.
He's like Del Toro. Del Toro was also in the breakaway.
Yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, I don't know, but listen, hats off to him. That was an amazing stage win for him.
Yeah, so at one point he dropped Jay Vine, and the commentators were saying, "Well, what's he doing? He just dropped his teammate who he's working for." Then he wins. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the show yesterday, I went back and listened to look for flaws in our logic, but the thesis was correct that it will be a rider who has been in a lot of moves, who's been close. We just overlooked Marc Soler, but he's been there, third on stage 12, third on stage 13. He's been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 breakaways since stage 9. And it's the same. We're going to keep seeing the same thing. I don't think tomorrow's going to be a breakaway, but I think the last 2 mountain stages will probably be breakaways. And you're going to see riders that have been up here. There's not new entrants to the breakaway. I think a lot of these riders are probably just they're along for a free cycle tour of northern Spain at this point. I don't think there's a lot left in the legs.
That's right. Yeah, free cycle tour, Spencer. I mean, in the sense that they're there to fill the pack, and there's nothing they can do. Right? They can't go forwards. They can go backwards whenever they want, but they don't want to because they need to stay in the pack, right? But yeah, I agree. That's this is not the last time we're going to see Marc Soler in a breakaway, for sure not. Then amongst the favorites, Enric Mas took the initiative. Well, first Mikel Landa took the initiative. You see clearly that they're very close to each other. All these riders, Landa, Carapaz, Mas, Roglic, they're not far apart. One attack takes 10 seconds, but then pays for it, which was the case with Landa, for example. And Roglic never attacked. I think once again he was on a normal day, not a great day. Enric Mas tried a few times. Primoz waited a bit, but the fact that he could always come back was obviously a sign that he had it under control. But he can't take any time on Enric Mas. He doesn't need to. He just needs to hope that he doesn't have a bad day, which could cost him the Vuelta. If Primoz Roglic stays true to himself and keeps this level, as I said yesterday, he will most likely win this Vuelta. But today was difficult for him. He, in my opinion, a few times he was on the limit, but the guy knows himself so well. I mean, even if he's not able to follow, he will not lose a lot of time. And I think at this point, he's already within 5 seconds now of the leader's jersey. He has 120 on his next rival, Enric Mas. He doesn't need anything else, right? So he just needs to stay where he is. He needs to stay with Enric Mas, and the Vuelta should be his. If he doesn't have a bad day. I'm liking what I see also, Spencer, from Richard Carapaz. He's getting better and better. Is solidly up there. Can't put his stamp on the race, but he's there, and never loses a lot of time. And that's also the reason why he's in fourth. I think his goal is going to be podium. And I think for that, he will need to hope that Ben O'Connor has a meltdown, because I don't think he can drop Enric Mas. I don't think he can drop Primoz Roglic. Mikel Landa is more or less of the same level as Carapaz right now, but Carapaz is a better time trialist. So I think he needs to hope for an off day or really breakdown of Ben O'Connor for Carapaz to make it on the podium.
Yeah, it's going to be touch and go because Ben O'Connor lost 58 seconds today. There's 2 more hard summit finishes, so you could just pencil him in for, let's say he loses. But the problem is the summit finishes remaining are a fraction. They're half basic. No, maybe a little bit. They're not as hard as this, and they're shorter than this. So let's say he loses 50 seconds each.
Well, the Alto de Moncalvillo is hard. I think it's 8K. The last 4 kilometers are double digits. And then the last climb on the last stage is also quite hard. Picon Blanco.
What did we say about double digit gradients yesterday, though? Not big gaps. So
exactly. Yeah.
It actually, I'm like mourning Wout van Aert's loss. Is actually devastating for the race. I do think he was going to win KOM. I do think he was going to win points. Some genius out there, no thanks to us, said, wait a second, Caden Groves is plus 1,200 for the points jersey. What happens if Wout van Aert crashes or gets sick and bet on him? Yeah. That would have been a very smart thing to do. I feel silly for not recommending that. So congratulations, listener, for doing that. But I think it's going to be interesting to watch Ben O'Connor. I don't think he's going to fall apart. I think he's going to keep losing like 30, 40, 50 seconds per summit finish. And then Carapaz is 146 back. And then it's going to be like a battle of the worst time trialists in the sport or worst GC time trialists in the final day. It's going to actually be quite interesting for this last podium spot.
I think advantage Ben O'Connor for that because, if you look, taking away Primož Roglič, who's definitely the best time trialist of all these guys, but Ben O'Connor, Enric Mas, Richard Carapaz, Mikel Landa, Ben O'Connor is the best time trialist, in my opinion, of those 4.
Yeah, on paper, I would agree. He actually, I think of him as a very good time trialist, but he got smoked by Mas on the first day. Where was Carapaz on that?
He did. That's true.
On the Carapaz beat him too on that first
day. He did a bad time trial. He did a bad time trial. That's true.
I mean, one more thing I'll say about this stage is, well, we should say Primož Roglič, most underrated rider in pro cycling. Like, he just wins. The guy has a rare ability just to get the job done that a lot of pro riders, especially a lot of GC contenders, do not have. Like, think of Enric Mas. He's got diamonds in his legs this race. He's probably not going to win. Roglič is like, hey, I'm on a bad day. I'm on one of the hardest climbs in the race. I'll just pin myself to this wheel and make sure I don't lose any time. That's very difficult to do. He's a very tough person. And he's probably going to win this race without really any super, like, I guess what was that the stage a few days ago where Mike Woods won? Roglič was amazing on that climb. But like, we were just talking about this before we recorded, but you have Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogačar, and I would even say Remco Evenepoel, because he can do things that kind of stretch reality where you're like, did that just happen? Is that possible? Like, they're on Mount Olympus. Roglič has fallen off Mount Olympus. He now lives with the mortals down on the ground. And the rest of these guys, I think modern cycling, you're not going to see the big gaps on these tough mountain stages because everyone is doing everything to get everything out of their body. Like, they're getting the absolute maximum, and they all kind of end up about the same watts per kilo place. And so I think it's like time trials are going to become more and more important. Like, I think Primož Roglič is going to win this race in the time trials, basically.
Could be. So Roglič took, Enric Mas did actually not a bad time trial. He lost 20 seconds on Roglič, 23 seconds only. That's not much in 12 kilometers. So that's good for him. O'Connor did a bad time trial, actually. But, this is the first day. You never know what happened before.
They might all be pretty similar, actually. There might not be massive margins between them in that time trial.
Well, the last time trial is usually, it's more the legs than the time trial specialists who get the upper hand. But man, I mean, it's close. If you look, Carapaz is only 21 seconds behind the podium, behind Enric Mas. Then Landa lost a bit of time today, but he's still only he's less than a minute behind the podium. Don't see him making
he
that
should
up.
serve as a bit of a cautionary tale, though, because what do fans always say? Oh, attack. Intermas should be attacking. Attack. Well, what did Landa show us today? The attacker pays for it because these guys can ride at the perfect tempo to get up the climb the fastest.
Yeah. We did see a change also in the white jersey again. Carlos Rodriguez takes the white jersey back. With 7 seconds on Schielmoze only and 34 seconds on Lipowitz. So that remains an interesting battle. Fourth guy in the white jersey, Matteo Riccitello, 53 minutes.
I was just looking at that. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about tomorrow's stage, Spencer.
Okay.
141 kilometers, I think, so relatively short. If you look at the profile, I personally think it's going to be a bunch sprint. I would actually, you know what? If Wout van Aert would have been in the race and we had Visma and Alpecin, it would have been definitely a bunch sprint. Now there's only one team with the big favorite. That makes it a bit more complicated. They do have their full team, I think. So that's obviously in their advantage. And the other day, they had 6 riders over that climb when Caden Groves won against Van Aert. So they have a strong team, but they have their work cut out tomorrow to keep this together, especially in the last, in the final, where we could maybe see some attacks. And then when, as a sprinters team, you run out of men, that can be tricky. But what do you think? One sprint?
Yeah, so it's 2 climbs, 2 categorized climbs right in the middle, 2 Cat 2s, and then it's downhill to bumpy to flat to the finish. Along the coast, probably bunch sprint. Here, I'll list the favorites on Unibet, and then we'll get your take on who's going to win. I mean, I would say most likely a bunch sprint, but maybe we have a differing take on one of our wild cards. Caden Groves is the favorite at plus 150, Pavel Bittner at plus 650, Corbin Strong plus 1,000, Jonathan Narvaez plus 1,600, Casper Askren plus 1,800, Matthias Vikek. I've heard we've been saying his name wrong, but now I forget what the correct way to say it is.
It's Vatsek.
Okay, yes.
Vatsek, yeah.
Plus 1,800. Eduardo Adfini plus 2,000. Stefan Kuhn plus 2,000. Arna Marit plus 2,200. Victor Kempenarts plus 2,500. It goes on and on. But Johan, do you think bunch sprint? And then if so, who do you like to win that?
I'm just checking something else, Spencer. The weather. Santander tomorrow, 80% chance of rain during the afternoon. 80% chance of rain and a bit windy also. 22 kilometers, 24 kilometers per hour. So it could be tricky, But I still think a bunch sprint, yeah. And for me, if it's a bunch sprint, it's Caden Groves. Now that Van Aert is not there anymore, he was able to beat Van Aert twice already. He's the fastest guy, has still good legs. The other day, he made it over that Cat 1 climb and managed to win the stage. So I'm going to pick him as my first favorite to win the stage.
Yeah, with Wout van Aert not here, if it's a bunch sprint, it's difficult to see anyone else beating him. Especially, I mean, the team is an issue because anyone, like if the other teams have been paying attention, they should not work with Alpecin de Koenig because their only chance is to hope that they run out of riders and then someone can attack, or Groves is poorly positioned going into the finish. If you remember back, I think it was stage 14, the last stage, Groves won. I think he won because Van Aert kind of lost the wheel. He's fighting for position, and then Groves is just perfectly positioned the whole time. Yeah. If they have teammates left, he's very hard to beat.
Yeah.
But
it's
I'm
also,
going to go.
I mean, DSM may also, if Van Aert is not here anymore, they do have Bittner. I mean, how else are they going to win tomorrow? I mean, they probably not carry the weight of the race, but I would assume that in the final they're going to be guys up there to bring any late attacks back. So I think DSM will probably give them a hand.
Well, speaking of DSM, my pick, Pavel Bittner, plus 650 on Unibet, plus 700 on FanDuel in the US. Who knows how his legs are, right? This is his first Grand Tour, I believe. Young rider, but I still can't quite get that stage win out of my head. He was flying in that stage win, and then the level was already not a super competitive bunch sprint field, and it's gone down significantly with Van Aert leaving. So a guy like Bittner with his speed, the fact that I'm surprised he's plus 650, plus 700, and he's plus 175 for the podium. I would go for that. I think he's gonna be up there. He's one of the only riders that can even come close to challenging Groves.
Yeah. I mean, he already beat him, so tomorrow is an ideal day for that. Since I think it's going to be a bunch sprint, Spencer, and we have to, pick somebody else, I'm going to pick Corbin Strong as my second sprinter, plus 1,000. He already finished third in one stage. Didn't seem overexcited with that. He's an ambitious guy, and so I think he's still okay to be up there and at plus 1,000 on Unibet for the win. If something happens with Groves or something goes wrong in the sprint, he will be up there and would be able to win the stage also, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see it. The team is strong. They could keep him up there. Who knows? Maybe they'll help work. At plus 1,000, the fact that you're getting to the third favorite on a sprint stage and it's plus 1,000 is pretty unique. So he's a good hedge against. You want to hedge against. How the heck did the guy that's like, how the heck did that just happen? What happened to Caden Groves? Because that happens at this stage in Grand Tours. I remember who's this Italian rider? Do you remember him? He always wins like the 17th stage of the Giro d'Italia. I'm just forgetting his name, but he never does anything. And then he wins stage 17 and you're like, what was that? Where did that come from?
Dainese,
yes. So Corbin Strong is your Dainese hedge for this stage. I do support that. Someone I'm going to pick, and I call this like stuff gets weird hedge, is Stefan Kung, plus 2,000 to win. He's fast. He finished fourth in a pseudo bunch sprint earlier in this race. But if there's a late attack, if Alpecin runs out of riders and people don't want to go help them, which can happen at this late in a Grand Tour, it's been hard racing through the mountains. Who knows? Maybe he's even in the early breakaway and doesn't get pulled back. But just like a late attack, early breakaway, messy sprint, crash in the sprint, and a strong rider who's not necessarily that fast ends up on the front and stays away for the win. I would go Kung as like your ultimate hedge on this.
Yeah, I think if Kung wins, Spencer, it's going to be with a late attack, and then like a surprise, and all of a sudden nobody's left there to pull it back. He seems to be still in really good shape. He was up there. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Was 2 days ago, yeah, when Castrillo won his second stage. He was up there and he looked good actually on that climb until I think there were like 5 guys left and he was still there. So he must have good legs. They haven't gotten any results. I mean, they got a second place. No, his team got a second place with Quentin Paché. That's about it. I think they didn't do anything else.
They're waiting for the Olympics. They only do well in the Olympics. They're already resting up for LA 2028.
But yeah, I mean, Kung could be one of those guys. Together with, now that we're talking about those kind of scenarios, Affini, I think is also a guy who could place a late attack, and especially now that Wout is not here anymore. They're going to try something, Visma, and Affini could do one of those guys, but most likely it's going to be a bunch sprint.
Affini is plus 2,300 on FanDuel, so a little bit better price. Probably just not as well known in the U.S. They are kind of two sides of the same coin. They're very similar riders. Affini was super strong on that day where Wout didn't win, stage 14. Yeah. Like he did a lot of work on the front there. I don't hate that for a hedge. I'd probably pick one. One idea you could do is Caden Groves plus 150, and then your 2 wild cards are Affini and Kung. That'd be one strategy of, well, it's either going to be Caden Groves in the sprint or someone's going to stay away. Who can stay away? It's 2 of these guys. Only 2 of these guys are strong enough to do so. So that'd be one idea on how to manage that. But I wouldn't go much further afield than that. I think it's going to take a very big engine to stay away late in the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll throw out a few head-to-heads. There's none on FanDuel yet. I'm just going to handpick these from DraftKings, a few that I find interesting. Here's one that stuck out to me right away. Ben O'Connor, minus 250. Primoz Roglic, plus 175. Is Roglic really, is it a lock that he's just going to be sitting back on a rainy bunch sprint? I don't know about that.
No, I think Roglic. They're both going to want to be in front, but it's not that difficult anymore at this point. There's first of all, there are no sprinters left, no teams with sprinters, so it's not. For them, especially once they pass the 3 kilometer sign, it's not that difficult to stay in front with the condition they have. So it just depends. Maybe I would say advantage for this head-to-head advantage O'Connor, because he doesn't want to get caught behind the gap and lose the jersey with 5 seconds to Primoz. So he will be looking where Primoz is and at least try staying around and maybe finish in front of him. Because if Primoz is in front and O'Connor is in the same group, but he's like 20, 30 places behind and there's a gap, that's immediately as 5 seconds. So he doesn't want to lose the jersey for an extra day just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, though you have to be with those odds minus 250. You have to be. Do you think there's a 71% chance of that happening or greater than that?
That O'Connor finishes ahead of Primoz?
Yeah, basically if they do this 100 times, does O'Connor finish in front 71 or more times?
Yeah, no.
No, I would go Roglic on that. Okay, just on the off chance he does.
Let's go Roglic. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
And here's an interesting one. Corbin Strong, minus 340. Paul Mikel, who I considered picking for the stage, plus 225.
Mm-hmm. He's been up there, this kid from Kern Pharma, fast guy. We haven't picked him for the win tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be top 3 or top 4 or top 5. He already was he third one day? Or fourth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Actually, I just noticed, kind of crazy, he's plus 1,000 for the podium. It's kind of...
Yeah, why not? Plus 1,000 for the podium. That's not bad, because that team is on a roll.
He has finished on the podium at this race. Stage 7.
Yeah. But and he's the positive. He's positive, Paul Mikel?
He's positive, plus 225.
Yeah. I'd go Paul Mikel.
We're long Pau. We are going big on Pau. He's our guy. I do think that's an interesting one. Corbin Strong probably wins, but minus 340, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's like Van Aert type stuff. So the last one I'll do is Richard Carapaz, minus 190 versus Mateusz Szkomoza, plus 135.
I think Szkomoza.
For that price too. Yeah. I would go Szkomoza. I think we're all positive today. It's like the first time that's ever happened. All right. Well, thanks, Johan. Do you have anything to add before we get going?
No, let's just hope it's a bunch sprint tomorrow and that we got it right.
We need a win. We're like FDG. We need a win no matter what.
We do.
All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow for stage 18, and thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.